So, what is self intelligence anyway? Well, I was going through a big healing process in my life, and I started studying emotional intelligence because I realized it was pretty low in my life. So I became an emotional intelligence practitioner. But at the same time, I also learned a lot more, and I did a big deep dive into the CliftonStrengths assessment. And I realized that in the emotional intelligence formula is one of the pieces is empathy. But when you look at the Clifton strengths, not everybody has empathy to the same level. And so that bothered me about continuing with my emotional intelligence practice. So what I did is I formulated the two of them together in a combination which resulted in self-intelligence. And what that boils down to is three different aspects. One is clarity. This is where we see ourselves through lenses that are no longer smudged up with all those things that I've talked about in previous videos. We have a clear self-awareness, which is very difficult to achieve just on our own. So we use the tool of the Clifton Strengths and dive into those traits to help us see that better. Next, we go into our personal process. This is where we understand how all of those traits show up for us, how they work in conjunction with one another, how they work in our process versus somebody else's process. And we do a self-understanding piece into that, which leads us into, okay, are we accepting and not just accepting, but embracing our own process? Are we embracing what we've now seen in ourselves with this self-awareness clarity? And most people, this is what stops them from working from me because they think that this is going to be like very vulnerable. And it's not. I promise you, you're going to hear such great things about yourself and learn how to embrace and accept the things that come natural for you. There's not like, oh, well, these things and this. Trust me, this is a really uplifting experience. So this is your personal process. And then that takes us into the last piece, which is perspective. We see ourselves with clarity. We understand, accept, and embrace the way that we go about things in our own way in our lives. But now we learn how to manage that when it comes to others. And we manage it even within ourselves in all of our different parts of life, personally, professionally, our health and wellness, everything, because it shows up in all that we do. And so the more aware we are, the better we understand it, we accept it, embrace it, then we can manage it as we go out into the world. And then we go beyond just managing it. We feel empowered by it, and we realize that we are not giving our power away to other people any longer. We are not letting people control us, but yet we don't have that need to have to try to control other people anymore either. Because often when we try to control other people, it's out of a discomfort. Most of us feel uncomfortable when somebody is going about something their own way and not in the way that we would. We're like, wait a minute, what are you doing? How could you be doing that? That's so uncomfortable to me. And so we do it to make ourselves feel better. It might not be the best thing for the other person. So we learn to have control over ourselves only, and that is self-empowerment. And you put those three pieces together, clarity, personal process, and perspective, and that is where we experience self-intelligence.